The undetectable arrival station Nexus Prime hung in the void like a mechanical spider, its 8 massive sensor arms stretching into the darkness of space. For 800 years, it had been the Drakmarian Empire's most advanced monitoring facility, watching over the Outer Rim territories with sensors so powerful they could detect a single escape pod from 3 star systems away. Commander Zelthor had commanded this station for 40 years, and in all that time, nothing had escaped his notice. Nothing moved through his scepter without his knowledge, until tonight. Lieutenant Vexia's voice cracked with confusion as she called out from her sensor station. "Commander, I'm getting readings that don't make sense. There's something out there, but the computers keep saying there's nothing." Zelthor's scaled hide rippled with annoyance as he approached her station. The young Drakmarian had only been assigned to Nexus Prime for 6 months, and he suspected she was making rookie mistakes. "Explain yourself, Lieutenant. Our sensors don't make errors." Vexia's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as she pointed at her display. "Sir, watch this. I'm detecting movement at bearing 274, distance approximately 15 light minutes, but when I tried to get a detailed scan, the system reports empty space." Zelthor leaned over her shoulder, his experienced eyes scanning the readouts. What he saw made his blood run cold. There was indeed something there, a distortion in space itself, moving at a velocity that should have been impossible. But every time the sensors tried to analyze it, they returned null readings. No energy signature, no material composition, no identification beacon. It was as if space itself was moving. "Run a full diagnostic on the sensor array," Zelthor ordered, his voice steady despite the growing unease in his chest, "and transmit our readings to Fleet Command immediately." The diagnostic came back clean. Every sensor, every processing unit, every quantum calculator was functioning perfectly. Whatever was out there, it was real, and it was approaching fast. "Admiral." Korvax's image appeared on the main screen within minutes, his scarred face showing the concern that had made him one of the Empire's most respected military leaders. "Commander Zelthor, I've reviewed your transmission. Are you absolutely certain your equipment is functioning correctly?" "Affirmative, Admiral. I've run every test possible. The contact is real, but it's unlike anything in our databases. It's moving at 0.7 light speed in normal space, which should be impossible according to our understanding of physics." Admiral Korvax's expression darkened. "Impossible or not, it's heading directly for the Drakmor system, our most heavily populated and defended sector. I'm dispatching the 3rd Fleet to intercept. Continue monitoring and report any changes immediately." Zelthor acknowledged the order and returned to his station, but something nagged at him. In 8 centuries of operation, Station Nexus Prime had catalogued every piece of debris, every asteroid, every cosmic phenomenon in a 50 light-year radius. The Empire's databases contained detailed records of every known species, every technology, every possible threat. Nothing moved through space without leaving some kind of signature, some trace that their instruments could detect and analyze. Lieutenant Vexia gasped, drawing Zelthor's attention back to her station. "Commander, it's changing course. It's heading directly for us now." The display showed the impossible contact, altering its trajectory with precision that suggested intelligence and technology far beyond anything the Drakmarian Empire possessed. There were no engine flares, no energy emissions, no signs of the massive forces required to change direction at such speeds. It simply moved, as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions. "Time to intercept?" Zelthor asked, though he dreaded the answer, 14 minutes at current velocity, sir. Zelthor opened a channel to Admiral Korvax. Admiral, the contact has changed course and is approaching our station directly. Request immediate instructions. Maintain position and attempt communication on all frequencies. If it shows hostile intent, defend yourselves. The Third Fleet is still 6 hours away. Lieutenant Vexia began broadcasting on every known frequency. Using standard Imperial protocols, emergency codes, and even ancient diplomatic languages. For several minutes, there was nothing but the static of empty space. Then, just as the unknown vessel came within visual range, a response came through. The speakers, greetings, Station Nexus Prime. This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the human vessel Prometheus. We apologize for any alarm our approach may have caused. The bridge fell silent. Zeltha felt his heart skip a beat. Human. The databases contained references to humans, but they were classified as a primitive species barely capable of interplanetary travel, confined to a small system in a distant spiral arm. According to Imperial records, they had only recently developed basic fusion technology. Unknown vessel, Zelthor transmitted, you claim to be human, but our records indicate humans lack the technology for interstellar travel. Identify yourself properly or face the consequences. Captain Rodriguez's laugh carried through the communication. System, warm and genuinely amused. Commander, your records are about 60 years out of date. We've made some improvements since then. May we come aboard? I think we have quite a lot to discuss. Absolutely not. Admiral Korvax's voice cut through. The channel, unknown vessel, you will maintain your distance and submit to inspection by Imperial forces. Admiral Korvax, isn't it? Captain Rodriguez replied. We've been monitoring your communications. I understand your caution, but I think you'll find this conversation goes better if we speak face to face. We have something important to show. You, the Prometheus, came into visual range, and Zelthor felt his worldview shift. The vessel was unlike anything in Imperial records. Its hull seemed to bend light around it, making it difficult to focus on directly. There were no visible engines, no weapons, ports, no communications arrays. It looked more like a work of art than a starship, its smooth curves suggesting advanced manufacturing techniques the Empire had never developed. How did you get here? Lieutenant Vexia whispered, staring at the impossible ship. Captain Rodriguez somehow heard the quiet question. Lieutenant, your sensors couldn't detect us because we weren't using any technology your equipment was designed to recognize. We've been studying your empire for quite some time, actually. Very impressive expansion rate, by the way. 3,000 systems in 8 centuries is remarkable for a carbon-based civilization. Admiral Korvax's voice was tight with barely controlled anger. You've been studying us. Impossible. Our sensor networks monitor everything within 100 light-years of Imperial space. Admiral, your sensors monitor everything you understand how to look for. We've been using technologies based on principles your science hasn't discovered yet. It's not that we're trying to hide from you. It's just that your instruments can't perceive what we're doing. Suddenly, Zelthor's tactical display activated without any input from his crew. A 3-dimensional map appeared, showing local space, in detail far beyond what their own sensors could provide. But this wasn't just a map of planets and stars. It showed energy patterns, subspace currents, dimensional fluctuations, and technologies operating throughout the sector that the Empire had never detected. By the void, Zelthor breathed, there are dozens of civilizations operating in our territory. How did we miss them? You didn't miss them, Commander, Captain Rodriguez explained patiently. They're operating on technological levels your current development stage can't perceive. It's like trying to see radio waves with your natural vision. The phenomena exists, but you need the right tools to detect it. Admiral Corbax found his voice again. What do you want? Why reveal yourselves now? There was a pause before Captain Rodriguez answered, and when she did, her tone was more serious. Because, Admiral, your empire is approaching a critical decision point. You've been expanding aggressively for centuries, conquering or absorbing. Every civilization you encounter, that strategy has worked well against species at your technological level. But you're about to encounter civilizations that view your entire empire as nothing more than a minor territorial dispute. More contacts appeared on the sensors, ships materializing from what the Empire had assumed was empty space. Each vessel was clearly from a different civilization, displaying technologies and design philosophies that boggled the mind. Some seemed to be constructed from crystallized energy, others appeared to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and a few defied easy description altogether. These are representatives of the local galactic community, Captain Rodriguez continued. We've all been watching your development with interest. The question now is whether your species is ready to join the larger conversation, or if you'll continue the path that will eventually bring you into conflict with civilizations that could erase your empire without noticing they'd done so. Lieutenant Vexia stared at her instruments in amazement. Commander, I'm reading energy signatures. That shouldn't be possible. Some of these ships are operating with power outputs that exceed our understanding of physical limits. Zelfar looked at the display showing dozens of impossible vessels surrounding his station, each one representing a level of technological advancement that made the Drakmarian Empire's proudest achievements look like stone tools. For 800 years, the Empire had believed itself to be the dominant force in this region of space. Now it appeared they had been children playing in a sandbox, unaware of the vast world beyond their small corner of existence. Captain Rodriguez, Admiral Corbax said quietly, "What happens if we choose to continue our current path?" The human's response was gentle, but carried the weight of inevitable consequence. Then you'll keep expanding until you encounter someone less patient than we are, Admiral, and there are species out there that consider the elimination of aggressive empires to be routine maintenance of galactic stability. As if to emphasize her point, the tactical display showed new contacts approaching from the galactic core. These ships were different from the peaceful representatives surrounding the station. They moved with predatory purpose, their energy signatures pulsing with barely contained power. However, Captain Rodriguez added, "We didn't come here to threaten. We came to offer you a choice. Humanity has something of a reputation for taking promising species under our wing. We'd like to propose a partnership. The revelation, a new understanding." The conference room aboard Station Nexus Prime had never hosted visitors quite like these. Captain Alina Rodriguez sat across from Commander Zelthor and Admiral Corbax, her relaxed posture a stark contrast to the tension radiating from the Drakmarian officers. She was younger than they had expected, with the kind of calm confidence that came from facing challenges far beyond what most beings could imagine. Dr. James Chen, the human scientist who had beamed aboard with the captain, was examining a Drakmarian data pad with fascination. "Remarkable engineering," he commented. "You've achieved impressive efficiency with relatively primitive quantum processing. Very clever workarounds for the computational limitations." Admiral Corbax's scales rippled with indignation. "Primitive? Our quantum computers are the most advanced in known space. Dr. Chen looked up with genuine surprise. Oh, I didn't mean any offense. They're actually quite sophisticated for first-generation quantum systems. We went through a similar development phase about 70 years ago. The theoretical framework is solid. You just haven't discovered some of the deeper principles yet. Commander Zelthor leaned forward, his four eyes fixed on the human scientist. Dr. Chen, our records indicate that humans only developed basic nuclear fusion recently. How is it possible that you're 70 years ahead of us in quantum computing, Captain? Rodriguez smiled, and there was something in her expression that suggested vast depths of experience. Commander, your records are based on what we allowed other species to observe. Humanity learned very early that showing our full capabilities tends to make our neighbors nervous. She activated a small device, and suddenly the room was filled with holographic displays showing star charts, technological specifications, and historical records. But these weren't Drakmarian records. These were human observations of galactic civilizations spanning centuries. We've been watching civilizations rise and fall throughout this region for over 300 years. Captain Rodriguez continued. The Drakmarian Empire is actually the 43rd major civilization we've monitored in this sector. You're also one of the most promising. Admiral Kovacs studied the holographic records with growing amazement. The data showed civilizations he'd never heard of, technologies beyond imagination, and conflicts that had shaped the galaxy while the Empire remained completely unaware. You've been watching us for 3 centuries. Why didn't you make contact sooner? Dr. Chen answered, his attention still focused on the Drakmarian technology. Because you weren't ready. Most species go through what we call the aggressive expansion phase during their early interstellar development. It's natural, even necessary for technological growth. But it becomes dangerous when you encounter civilizations that have moved beyond that phase. Moved beyond? Commander Zelthor asked. Captain Rodriguez gestured to the star charts. Admiral, look at your expansion pattern. For 800 years, you've grown through conquest and absorption. Every species you've encountered has been at roughly your technological level, so this strategy has been successful. But what happens when you encounter a civilization that could destroy your entire fleet without breaking stride? The holographic display shifted to show the approaching contacts from the galactic core. The ships were massive, their energy signatures dwarfing anything in the Imperial arsenal. Worse, there were thousands of them, moving with the coordinated precision of a species that had perfected interstellar warfare. The Void Hunters, Dr. Chen said grimly. They're what happens when a species chooses pure aggression over cooperation. They've consumed 17 civilizations in the past century, including some that were technologically superior to your empire. Admiral Kovacs felt his blood chill. How long before they reach our territory? 6 months, Captain Rodriguez replied. Maybe less if they decide your empire poses an immediate threat. Commander Zelthor studied the tactical projections with growing horror. The Void Hunters moved through space like a plague, consuming entire star systems and leaving nothing but empty void in their wake. Their technology appeared to be based on principles that turned matter itself into energy, allowing them to literally devour planets and stars to fuel their expansion. Can they be stopped? He asked quietly. Individually, no. They've perfected the aggressive expansion strategy to its ultimate conclusion. But they have one weakness that humanity learned to exploit long ago. Captain Rodriguez stood and walked to the viewport, gazing out at the impossible human ship floating nearby. They can't conceive of genuine cooperation between species. Dr. Chen nodded, finally setting down the Drachmarian datapad. Humans discovered something interesting about advanced civilizations, Commander. The species that survive long-term aren't necessarily the strongest or most aggressive. They're the ones that learn to work together across species barriers. That's impossible, Admiral Korvax protested. Different species have different goals, different biology, different ways of thinking. Cooperation on that scale is a fantasy. Captain Rodriguez turned back to them with a smile that carried the weight of hard-won experience. Admiral, 300 years ago, humanity was exactly where your empire is now. We'd conquered our local neighborhood, absorbed several primitive species, and thought we were the masters of our destiny. Then we encountered the crystalline collective. The holographic display showed images that defied description. Ships that seemed to be grown rather than built, beings of living crystal, who thought in ways that challenged every human assumption about consciousness and intelligence. They could have destroyed us, easily, Captain Rodriguez continued. Their technology was so far beyond ours that we looked like insects to them. But instead of conquest, they offered us something revolutionary, the chance to learn. Dr. Chun activated another display, showing the evolution of human technology over the centuries. What we discovered, Admiral, is that cooperation doesn't mean everyone becomes the same. It means everyone becomes better. The Crystalline Collective taught us principles of energy manipulation that revolutionized our engineering. In return, we shared our insights into adaptive problem-solving and creative thinking. But you're still human, Commander Zelthor observed. You haven't lost your identity. Exactly, Captain Rodriguez agreed. Cooperation preserves what makes each species unique while amplifying their strengths. The Drachmarian Empire's organizational abilities and strategic thinking are exactly the kind of capabilities that make the galactic community stronger. The door to the conference room chimed, and General Marcus Thompson entered. The human military officer moved with the kind of controlled precision that spoke of extensive combat experience. But his eyes held the wisdom of someone who had learned that victory wasn't always about superior firepower. Captain, we've received confirmation. From the outer monitoring stations, he reported. The Void Hunters have accelerated their timeline. They'll reach the Drachmor system in 4 months, not 6. Admiral Korvax's scales darkened with fear. 4 months. That's not enough time to mount an effective defense. General Thompson studied the Drachmarian officer with interest. Admiral, with respect, you're thinking about this the wrong way. You can't fight the Void Hunters with conventional tactics. They've perfected conventional warfare beyond anything your empire could match. Then how do we stop them? Commander Zelthor demanded. Captain Rodriguez returned to her seat, her expression serious but not without hope. By doing something they've never encountered before. By showing them what genuine interspecies cooperation can accomplish. The holographic display changed. Again, showing a complex battle plan that involved technologies and strategies from dozens of different civilizations. Human adaptive tactics, Drachmarian organizational structure, crystalline energy manipulation, and contributions from species the Empire had never imagined existed. The Void Hunters expect to face scattered resistance from individual civilizations, General Thompson explained. They've built their entire military doctrine around overwhelming, isolated enemies, but they've never faced a coordinated response from multiple species working in perfect harmony. Dr. Chen leaned forward, his excitement evident. Commander, your Empire's quantum computing systems, primitive as they are by our standards, have one capability that even our most advanced systems lack. They process information in a way that's perfectly compatible with Drakmarian neural patterns. When we link them with human adaptive algorithms and crystalline energy matrices, we create a tactical processing system that can outthink the Void Hunter's predictive models. Admiral Korvax stared at the battle plans with growing amazement. You're suggesting we integrate our technologies with yours, share our most classified systems with alien civilizations? I'm suggesting you join a community that's been waiting for you to be ready, Captain Rodriguez replied. The galactic community isn't about conquest or absorption, Admiral. It's about mutual growth and shared protection. Every species contributes what they do best, and everyone benefits from the combined knowledge. Commander Zelthor studied the tactical projections, his mind racing through the implications. Captain, if this works, if we actually defeat the Void Hunters, what happens then? Captain Rodriguez smiled, and for the first time since the humans had arrived, it was completely without reservation. Then, Commander, your empire becomes part of something far greater than you ever imagined. You'll have access to technologies and knowledge that will advance your civilization by centuries. Your people will have opportunities to explore, to learn, to grow in ways that pure conquest could never provide. And all we have to do is trust you, Admiral Korvax said quietly. No, Captain Rodriguez corrected. All you have to do is trust each other. Humanity won't be leading this alliance, Admiral. We'll be part of it, just like everyone else. The strength comes from cooperation, not domination. General Thompson activated a communication device, and suddenly the conference room was filled with voices from across the galaxy. Representatives of species the Empire had never known existed, all offering their support, their technology, their knowledge in the fight against the Void Hunters. Commander Zelthor listened to the cacophony of alien voices, each one offering something unique and valuable to the common cause. For 800 years, the Drakmarian Empire had believed that strength came from conquest, that survival meant dominating everything around them. Now he was being offered something revolutionary, the chance to be part of something greater than any single civilization could achieve alone. Captain Rodriguez, he said finally, on behalf of the Drakmarian Empire, we accept your proposal. But I have one question. What's that, Commander? Zelthor looked out at the incredible human ship, at the representatives of dozens of civilizations who had appeared to offer their help to a species they barely knew. Why? Why risk yourselves for us? What do humans gain from this? Captain Rodriguez's smile widened, and in it, Commander Zelthor saw the answer to humanity's success among the stars. Commander, we gain what every truly advanced civilization discovers eventually. We gain the knowledge that the universe is a vast and wonderful place, full of incredible beings with amazing capabilities, and we get to be part of something bigger than ourselves. As the representatives of the galactic community began coordinating their response to the approaching Void Hunters, Commander Zelthor realized that the Drakmarian Empire's greatest conquest was about to begin. Not the conquest of other civilizations, but the conquest of their own limitations, their own fears, their own assumptions about what was possible. The empire that had built its strength on domination was about to discover the true meaning of power, the ability to work together with beings unlike themselves, to create something greater than the sum of its parts, and to face the vast challenges of the galaxy not as conquerors, but as partners in an endless adventure among the stars.